He's built multi-million-dollar companies. His explosive books on health and wealth have sold over 60 million copies. Now, The Kevin Trudeau Show they don't want you to know.
First off, depression is real. Sadness is real. A case of the blues is real. In a matter of fact, in America, more people claim to feel low emotionally, have a case of the blues, deep sadness, prolonged sadness, or depression to some degree. You just don't feel happy. You feel like there's something missing in life. Sometimes it's so bad you want to cry. And it goes ups and downs. And sometimes you can't put your finger on what external situation is happening or has happened to make me feel low. It's like my relationship is good. I'm having good sex. My job is good. My health is good. My friendships are good. My family communications are good. And you're thinking, why am I depressed? Why am I feeling sad? Prescription antidepressants in America are at record levels. More people are taking more antidepressants than ever before. And here's the problem. If you have depression or if you have deep sadness to any degree, it's not because you have a Prozac deficiency. Think about it. You take an antidepressant. Well, you're not deficient in anything that's in the antidepressant. The antidepressant is actually doing crazy things to your body, making you, in most cases, more depressed. You know, when I talk about the inefficiency or the ineffectiveness of antidepressants and how bad they are, people go crazy because it's such a huge profit center for the drug companies. There was an article in Newsweek magazine. Now, this is a legitimate source, Newsweek magazine. And here's the headline. Headline is, antidepressants work better than sugar pills only 15% of the time. Now, think about that. That's insane. Antidepressants work better than sugar pills only 15% of the time. But here's what they don't tell you in this article. When you look at ads for antidepressants, do you know what the common side effects are? Common side effects. Depression. You take an antidepressant, and the number one most common side effect is you get more depressed. Suicidal thoughts. Also, aggression and violence toward yourself and others. You know, you have these mass shootings over the last decade in America and around the world. What is never discussed, never talked about, is how many of these mass shooters were on antidepressants. I would venture to say almost 100% of them. They don't want to talk about that. The antidepressants, an absolute side effect with the drug companies and the Food and Drug Administration and the FDA equivalents around the world have said, when you take antidepressants, a common side effect, in addition to depression and sadness, a common side effect is actually violence, suicidal thoughts, and actions. That's violence toward yourself. You actually want to hurt yourself and kill yourself, but also violence toward others. And nobody wants to talk about that. So is there a depression cure? Well, the real first question is, what is the cause of depression? Does anybody know? When you talk to neuroscientists, when you talk to medical doctors, there's all of these people that look at the body and they say, okay, let's take a whole bunch of depressed people. Let's do blood work. Let's look at serotonin levels, look at hormone levels, and let's see if we can come up with some common denominators that are in people that are depressed, and how they compare to people that walk around saying, I'm happy, I'm optimistic, life is tremendous. Yeah, I just got into a car crash. Yeah, my dog just died. That's a terrible thing, but you know, life goes on. I feel great. I love my life. I love living. Life is beautiful. Life is for laughing, loving, and living. Those type of people. So let's compare the difference. And there are some differences primarily in the brain. There's serotonin level differences, there's hormonal differences, there's a whole host of things. So when you look at people that are depressed, one of the things that's very common is that they have hormonal imbalances. That's number one. Now the question is, what causes the hormonal imbalances? The number one cause of hormonal imbalances in the body is pharmaceutical drugs, both prescription and non-prescription. They throw the body off. So when you're on one prescription, whether it's anti-cholesterol medication, whether it's high blood pressure medication, look at the side effects. The side effects are these medications that you're on, that you're taking every day for the rest of your life, they're actually causing some of the hormonal imbalances, which is one of the causes of feeling emotionally low. That's number one. So hormonal imbalances. What else causes these hormonal imbalances? Genetically modified food. It's what you're eating, especially in America. Why are Americans the most depressed people on the planet? Just look at what we eat. We eat food that's radically different. Up until recently, red dye number 3 or 4 was allowed for human consumption. Interestingly enough, the FDA in America, I think 2 or 3 decades ago, said red dye number 4 is so toxic and so poison, we will not allow it to be put in cosmetics because if it's in a cosmetic and you put it on your skin, it could actually get into the bloodstream, and we're not going to allow that because it's a deadly poison. It's so deadly, so deadly, so deadly. You can't even put it on your skin. So it's forbidden to put in cosmetics. But then the FDA said, but it's okay to put in food. So we have all these food dyes, food additives, artificial sweeteners cause depression. If you're putting aspartame, NutraSweet, sucralose, if you're drinking diet sodas, diet this, diet that with artificial sweeteners, if you're taking protein shakes, you don't know, it has sucralose in it, it has aspartame. This is known to cause depression. Artificial sweeteners cause depression. Food dyes and additives cause depression. Genetically modified food can cause depression. It can cause gut imbalance. So many things in the food that you're eating, ultra-processed food, corn specifically causes depression. Anything with corn syrup solids, high fructose corn syrup, this all causes depression. Little by little, it's not one thing which is going to make a blowout depressed, but when you add all these things in, if I take you and you say, I really am depressed, I'm a depressed person, and I go through everything you're taking, look at all the pharmaceutical drugs, both prescription and non-prescription, let's look at all the food you're eating, all the food additives, we can add that together. So now we have 2 things, food and the pharmaceutical drugs. Next, drugs that you call recreational drugs, primarily marijuana. This causes depression and all of the hallucinogenics, magic mushrooms, psilocybin, LSD, ecstasy. These drugs, residual effects of the drug store in the fatty tissue and they build up over time. What else causes depression? Interestingly enough, there is a mineral deficiency that can lead to depression. And when you look at depressed people and draw their blood and look, almost all of them are completely deficient in the mineral lithium. Back in the day, there was a product called 7-Up. When 7-Up first came on the market, it was marketed as the Uncola. It was clear. It wasn't caramel colored. So it was called 7-Up. The Uncola, 7-Up. And 7-Up had in it a little bit of cane sugar, which is perfectly good for you, raw cane sugar, had sugar in there, had a little carbonation, had a little lemon lime taste, which actually used from not artificial sweeteners. But what gave you the lift, the reason I called it 7-Up, because it gave you a lift. It was competing with Coca-Cola. Coca was cocaine. Cola was the cola nut, which had caffeine. So Coca-Cola had cocaine in it, and it had caffeine in it from the cola nut. That's what also gave it the brown color. And then carbonation and sugar. Those were the 4 ingredients: cocaine, cola nut, carbonated water, and cane sugar. There were really only 4 ingredients in Coca-Cola, the original formula, and it gave you a lift because the cocaine gave you a lift and the caffeine gave you some energy. So both of them affected your emotions and energy levels. So the 7-Up came up with an Uncola. There was no cola nut in it. They didn't have any caffeine. They just used lithium. And it wasn't the drug lithium, the antidepressant. it was the mineral lithium, which is why the drug companies have a drug of lithium, because they realize that people who are depressed have a mineral deficiency. But instead of the doctor prescribing you the mineral lithium orate, they sell you the drug, which is pharmaceutical grade, which is not the natural occurring mineral. They could patent it and they can make a fortune and they could charge you this ridiculous fee. There's one other cause, and that's Candida yeast overgrowth. If you've taken any antibiotics in your life, that means the antibiotics killed all the good flora in your system, because it's an antibiotic. Anything that's biological, it will kill. So when you take an antibiotic, it kills the bacteria that's in your body that you want to get rid of. That's good. But it also kills all the good bacteria that's in your gut. When that happens, the not good bacteria, called Candida, it's a yeast, it overgrows. It's like crabgrass takes over. And this permeates and goes systemic in the body, which means it permeates not just the gut and the intestine, but the Candida gets into the organs, all the way into the esophagus, all the way up into your throat. So if you're depressed, you also may have this. You might have a little of that all day long. And that is a cause of depression. So unless you get rid of the Candida, you're always going to feel a little depressed, because the Candida feeds on sugar. And unless you're feeding yourself sugar like red wine, oh, I crave alcohol, that's sugar. I crave bread, that's sugar. I crave dairy products, that has sugars in it. If you have these cravings, that means you probably have a Candida yeast overgrowth. If you have gas and bloating, you probably have a Candida yeast overgrowth, and this will cause some depression. So you have to get rid of the Candida. Those are the basic ones, and there's one more, and that is in your memory bank, you have what's called an engram or a samskara. That's the Sanskrit word from India, which means energetic imprint. And this energetic imprint, this samskara that's in your mind, gets keyed in and will make you depressed. So if you had an incident in your past where your dog got hit by a car right in front of you, obviously that would be traumatic. You'd almost black out, and you would feel horrible. And that horrible feeling gets trapped in your subconscious mind or your reactive mind. And it sits there filled with depression and sadness. And then in life, when you go forward, something that can happen in life, something you see, smell, hear, or experience triggers or keys in or activates or brings to surface that energetic imprint, along with it, the encapsulated emotion. So what is depression cure? You can do what's called thought field therapy, TFT, by Dr. Roger Callahan. So when you feel depressed, then what you do is you go through a tapping sequence and you say the words, I want to get over this. And then you tap here, 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 then here, 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 under your armpits. You tap on the little finger, next finger, next finger, next finger, thumb. Then you tap here, close your eyes, open your eyes. You look down to the right, down to the left. You roll your eyes in a circle, or you roll them the other way. You hum a little bit out loud. Count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You hum again. Then you tap here, 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 and then here. Breathe normally in and out through your nose 3 times. Put your attention 2 inches below your belly button. Relax your face, relax your stomach. And so much energy is flowing through my body right now. It's like awesome. And that should relieve it. If it doesn't, then you say, I want to get over this. I can get over this. And you do the sequence again. And if it's not at 0, then you say, I want to get over this. I can get over this. I will get over this. And you do the sequence again. And if it's not down to 0, you say, I want to get over this. I can get over this. I will get over this. I am getting over this, and do the sequence again. If it's not at 0, then you say, I want to get over this. I can get over this. I will get over this. I am getting over this. I am over this, and do the sequence again. And even if it doesn't go down to 0, you have peeled off all the layers of the onion, or many, and then you can do the sequence again. It virtually is a 5-minute cure for depression. And how do we know this? We know this because Dr. Roger Callahan went down to the University of Miami, I believe it was, at the psychology department where they had a research with PSTD, post-traumatic stress disorder. People were dealing with depression. And they put them into various groups. I think it was 10 subjects in each of the groups. They had an expert in hypnotherapy deal with 10, an expert in cognitive therapy, an expert in analysis, psychiatry with drugs to treat the problem. And all these different therapies, Gestalt therapy, rapid eye desensitization therapy, etc. Callahan, Dr. Roger Callahan, was using thought field therapy, TFT. This was supposed to be a 6-week study where the patients come in, get treated 3 days a week for 6 weeks. Then there's going to be follow-up for 6 months. And at the end of that time, the research was going to say, does one of these therapies work better than the other at reducing the symptoms of depression? And Callahan said, well, I don't need to treat them 3 days a week for 6 weeks. I'm going to treat everybody once and go home because they're going to be cured of their depression. He treated everybody once in less than 5 minutes. Treated everybody once and then hopped on a plane, went back to California. 6 months later, in the follow-up, all of his patients after one treatment said they were cured of post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and sadness. They just didn't come back. Everybody else, people, some of them were worse. The drug people that were on the drugs were the worst, or they were just so numbed up there walking around, I guess I feel better, because they were just so numbed up from the drugs. Some of them were worse. Nobody was cured at the end of 6 weeks. Everybody still had some depression. Not one said that they were cured except the Callahan people. It virtually is a cure. And the director of the Miami Department of Psychology said, I hate to say this, but it seems that the Callahan technique is a cure for post-traumatic stress disorder, depression. And it pains me to say it because it goes against everything I thought I knew as fact about psychiatry, psychology, and how the mind works. So think about it. You can cure your depression. You can feel better, and you can feel happier. If you want to be happy, how do you do it? Well, the good news is there's actually a formula or an algorithm that you can follow and plug everything into. I'm in the process of actually finalizing this, and it's a very, very detailed mathematical algorithm that you can look at and saying, where am I on each one of these factors? And this is the algorithm which is being proven right now, and I'm very close to finishing it, and it'll be a book out called The Happiness Algorithm. It's virtually a formula or a recipe to keep happy and make sure that you're just not depressed or down or low or feeling a case of the blues. Let me just give you some of the elements of the happiness algorithm that are in there. The first one is genetics. The problem is in your DNA, if you're basically programmed, if you have programming in your DNA from your ancestors on your mother's side and your father's side to be depressed, then you're kind of screwed. But there is a way that you can correct that. Epigenetics is a word that a lot of people use, and it basically means that an outside influence can affect the DNA. And this has been scientifically proven to be true, even though it's very, very controversial. But we do know an outside influence now, and when you say we're talking scientists, like real scientists with PhDs that do real research, that it gets really published. Okay, so now nobody can question it when it's in the scientific community. They still question it if it doesn't follow the mainstream line. But at the end of the day, these are real PhD researchers and scientists at major universities around the world that are doing real double-blind studies and publishing stuff with peer-reviewed, which means their peers, other PhDs, review it and try to poke holes in the research. And when it gets peer-reviewed, it gets published. Look, you can argue with it, but those are the facts. That's the data. Okay. So we do know that epigenetics is real, and outside influence can change that. We also know, and I've been talking about this for decades and laughed at, now scientists have proven that if your ancestor had a trauma, that trauma is in your DNA. If your ancestor fell out of a plane and almost killed himself, and they developed a fear of flying because of it. They have a phobia. That's in your DNA, and that's the reason why from the moment you were born, you had a fear of flying. We know this with fear of water. Researchers took people that were 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old that were just afraid of getting in a bathtub, afraid of a swimming pool, afraid of going to the beach. And they're going, look, this is a baby. They have had no trauma in this lifetime. Why on God's green earth would they be petrified, scream about being put into a bathtub, and hate the idea of going into a pool and hate the idea of going into the beach when their brother, sister, or friend the exact same age loves getting in the bathtub, loves getting in the pool, and loves going into the water in the ocean? So why is one person completely frightened and the other is not? When the researchers looked at the history of the parents and the parents' parents and the parents' parents' parents, they find there was trauma someplace relating to water. Therefore, it's in the DNA, and that's why this child has this innate genetic disposition to have a fear or phobia toward water. It's also with depression and sadness. So you could have in your DNA a predisposition to sadness and depression. We know this is true. If you have two parents who are very shy, super shy, and they have a child, the child is programmed to be shy. If you have two parents who are performers in Broadway, and they're comedians, and they're outrageous and outlandish, and they're always, they want to be the center of attention in the life of the party, and both mother and father are like that, and they have a child, the child is not shy. The child comes out of the womb going, give me a top hat and cane. I want to go perform on, Broadway. It's in the DNA. We know this. There was a study done with an Italian baby. The two Italians went to Japan. They had a baby, and then a week later, the mother and father died in a car crash. The baby was adopted by a Japanese baby. So the baby is Italian. But the baby lived in Japan their whole life with 100% pure Japanese parents. That child would go to school and they would talk like this. When the Japanese child, all the other children would talk like this, the Italian, who only speaks Japanese, still talks with his hands. It's in his DNA. He's Italian. You can tell. They talk with your hands, right? So it's in your DNA. So the happiness algorithm talks about what's in your DNA. Next, where do you focus your attention? Do you focus your attention on the past? Do you focus it on the future and what you're doing? Or do you focus it on the present? Or do you focus it on the future? So that's part of the algorithm, and there has to be a balance there. When you look in the past, what do you look at? Do you look at your traumas, bad things that happened, disasters, or do you recall and focus on your wins when you did really, really well? That's part of the algorithm. So there is an algorithm. It's a mathematical equation for how to be happy. And when you look at this, and you just start factoring in every day, you can just say, okay, let me look at the algorithm and let me see where I am on some of these things and start making some minor adjustments. What can happen? And we've tested this with hundreds of people. What can happen is they all of a sudden start flipping from being lethargic, down, depressed, sad, into being more positive, optimistic, happier. And this leads to inner bliss and joy springing up from within. Now, there's a difference between happiness and joy and bliss. Happiness comes from external situations. So somebody throws a surprise birthday party for you and you feel happy. You get a present, you feel happy. Somebody invites you to dinner or asks you out on a date and you really like it, you feel happy. Bliss comes from within, and it bubbles up as an eternal spring of joy, regardless of what the external situations are. So there's two factors, and that's another part of the equation. If you have access to tapping into this eternal source of bliss and joy, which is connecting with source, It's really a high level of consciousness and awareness and spirituality. That is the most important driver, which will allow you to sustain happiness on a very regular basis instead of having ups and downs. Happy, sad, happy, sad, happy, sad. People have emotional roller coaster rides in life. You can do that, but you don't have to. You can be happy all the time. So this algorithm, just take note of what I said and just ask yourself where you are in some of these things, and there's more too. And you'll start seeing changes in your life for sure. On this show, I've given the causes and the reasons why a person has anxiety, why they have stress in their life, why they have emotional ups and downs, why they have uncontrollable and irrational emotions. I've explained all that. If you haven't watched those episodes, you need to watch those episodes. I explained the causes, the main causes of depression and sadness. If you haven't watched those episodes, watch those episodes. If you have anxiety, and sometimes people have anxiety for no reason at all. My mom used to get in the car and she could drive around town, but she couldn't drive on a highway because if she was going to get on an expressway, she just had a panic attack. She starts to hyperventilate and she's getting all nervous and then she just freezes. I can't go. She'd have this panic attack and anxiety. Some of you feel that way. Public speaking gives people panic attacks. Sometimes no reason at all. They just come and go, or you just feel stressed or overwhelmed. So here's some of the cures. Number one, lithium orate. It's a mineral, not the drug. It's a mineral. Most people are deficient in it. It was in the soda 7-Up. It gives you a lift. Very, very powerful. Next, St. John's wort. It's an herb. It'll give you a lift. Fantastic. Absolutely. Next, B vitamins. B vitamins, most people are deficient in for a whole host of reasons. But when you have ample amounts of B vitamins, it'll balance out your energy levels and give you a lift. Very, very powerful. Guarana is an herb. It's a natural occurring source of caffeine. It'll give you a lift, better than a cup of coffee. You won't get the jitters. And it also is a mood stimulator. All very, very good. Cacao. Oh, chocolate, not milk chocolate. You want organic, raw cacao. So you can have a chocolate bar. Just look, is it organic, raw cacao? It should be around 85% dark and just one little square. Usually, if you look in the ingredients, it says organic raw cacao, 85% dark or 75% dark, but usually 85% is a good one, very high. And then the only other sweetener in it should be organic raw cane sugar. It's just a little bit. Sometimes there's a little vanilla in there or sea salt. You have one little square. This is a mood elevator. Cacao is a mood elevator. It helps eliminate depression, helps eliminate sadness, and it helps reduce stress and anxiety. Very, very powerful. Next, breathing. I've done episodes on how to breathe. If you haven't watched that episode, watch it. You breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Your face is relaxed, so you relax your face, relax your stomach. You put your attention 2 inches below your belly button, and for 5 breaths, you breathe like this. So you're not going, you're breathing normally, in and out through your nose only. In through the nose, out through the nose. You relax your face, relax your stomach, put your attention 2 inches below your belly button, breathe in. The stomach goes out a little bit, and as you exhale through the nose, the stomach goes in a little bit. You do that 5 times, several times throughout the day. The more you do it, the better. Your body will relax, stress and anxiety will go away. You will feel phenomenal. Next, meditation. Research. There's like boodles of it. It's tons of it on meditation. Transcendental meditation is the most common. Visualization, guided visualization is not meditation. Meditating, even if it's 5 minutes, 1 day a week, is better than nothing. Meditate as much as you can. Ideally, you get to the ultimate spot, and most of you aren't going to get there, but that's okay. You'll still see tremendous benefits. But the ultimate is 20 minutes in the morning before breakfast and 20 minutes in the afternoon before dinner. Those are your 2 ultimate times to do it. Stress, anxiety gets reduced. Another technique to eliminate depression, to eliminate sadness, to make you feel better, to make you feel empowered, to give you more causation over your environment instead of feeling like you're at effect. And that is going for a walk outside and looking at things far away. This is the technique that nobody wants to talk about because it's free. You can't charge for it. And it produces unbelievable results. And it has been done by people for centuries without even thinking. When a person felt sad, they would go for a walk. And they would always say, I'm going to go for a walk. I mean, you see it in the movies. Oh, things aren't going good. I think I'm going to go for a walk. They instinctively knew, let me get out of the house. Let me go for a walk. Let me get some fresh air. Let me breathe. The oxygen's going to help me. Walking, moving the body, the lymphatic system's going to help me. But walking, the act of walking, gets blood flow, releases endorphins, which are the feel-good hormones. And then you look at things far away. Because when you're sad and depressed and stressed and anxious, you're looking inward. So you want to reverse that and go exterior. So what you do is you look at that treetop. You look at the top of that house. You look over there at the bridge. You look over there at the lamppost that's 200 yards away. So as you're walking, you're looking at things far away and you're trying to push yourself out as far as you can. So just kind of touch that lamppost, which is really far away, in your mind's eye. Just imagine that you're reaching and you're actually touching it. And you're touching that mountain, you're touching that building. Look at things far away. In 15 minutes, you are going to feel like $1 million. Big, huge difference. Next cure for stress and anxiety, depression, and sadness, jumping on a mini trampoline. Al Carter and I traveled the U.S. together decades ago. He wrote a book called The Miracle of Rebound Exercise. You get on this little mini trampoline. Al Carter makes the best. It'll last forever. Not made in China. You jump up and down on it, and it basically stimulates the lymphatic system. It squeezes every cell in the body so all the toxins come out. You will feel amazing. Then there's just basic exercise, any type of exercise, whether it's yoga postures, whether it's aerobic or anaerobic exercise like running or jogging or calisthenics, whether it's Pilates, any type of stretching, martial arts stretching, kung fu, karate movements, stretching, or strength training, which is resistance training. All of these have tremendous benefits on anxiety, stress, and depression. So if you exercise 3 times a week or twice a week or once a week or every day, you are going to feel better. You're going to reduce stress, reduce anxiety, increase happiness, increase joy, because the feel-good hormones are being stimulated and released. You're oxygenating the body and the blood, and you just feel fantastic. Next, hyperbaric chamber. You get into a hyperbaric chamber, either a unit that you buy at house, in your house, which is not as good as the units that you go that are medical grade. Because when you go into the medical grade ones, they are the glass is like that thick because the pressure is amazing. You can't get that at the house. So you go to a medical grade place for the best, the highest pressure of the oxygen, or you get one in your home, which is much lower pressure, but still good. You're flooding your body with oxygen. And when you flood your body with oxygen, you just feel euphoric and better. You're healthier, joints are better. You're flooding your body with oxygen. Evil viruses get knocked out. It's fantastic. Next thing is, you probably have a histamine issue. Most people do and they don't realize it. So if you have a histamine issue, to take a histamine scavenger or a histamine blocker. There are products on the market. Each one have different ingredients. Some may be better than others. I recommend a product called Histamine Scavenger. That's the name of it, but there's others as well. When you take this, you are going to feel better because it's going to reduce the histamine that's being activated by certain foods that you're eating, mild allergic reactions effectively, and you are just going to feel better. Next, do the Candida cleanse from Dr. Jeff McCombs. Dr. Jeff McCombs Candida plan. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for 30 plus years. He is a genius. His Candida cleanse is the only cleanse in the world that I know of that absolutely gets rid of Candida, not just in the gut and the intestine, but throughout the entire body. And when you clear that out, you feel euphoric. You feel blissful and joyful and happy. It's unbelievable. And people always say, Kevin, you're rattling off all these things. If there was one thing that I should do, what would it be? Start with the simplest one. Go for a walk. I mean, that's where you start. Look, I'm rattling off all this stuff. First thing, what is the simplest thing that you can do right now? You can just go for a walk, see how it feels. So start doing that. You don't have to do them all, but you can start doing that. Also, do the one that resonates. Look, you have an energy field. You can feel which is, oh yeah, this works. This makes sense. But you can eliminate stress and anxiety from your life. And I know someone's going to say, I got a great cure. I got this. Look, there's probably other great things out there too. I'm telling you the ones that I personally have used with myself and others, and I know absolutely the effectiveness of each one of these things that I've suggested and recommend. So try them. You can be joy and happy as well. I'm Kevin Trudeau. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you're ready to access the secrets and insider strategies that I learned that can change everything for you, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Central, we upload a brand new and hopefully thought-provoking show. The mission? The goal? What's in it for you? Well, I want to give you the knowledge and know-how to break free and unlock limitless potential in every area of your life. If you have questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comments section. I read every single comment. Also, make sure you share these videos with friends or family members to help them create the life that they want. And be smart. Follow me on all social media platforms for new and different content that I put up every single day.